Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
And I'm Al Reynolds, your host and judge.
Each show, there are 4 celebrity cases, 3 real attorneys, 1 verdict, guilty or not guilty. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
A-listers, yes, A-listers, come on in here, A-listers, come on in. Let's see who's with us tonight. Sandra McGee, come on in. Good to see you. Brian and Simone Adams, come on in. Good to see you. SL Warrior, I knew you would figure it out. Come on in. Deliria Washington, always good to see that name. Come on in. Dominic Starr, thank you for that emoji or that gift, whatever it is. I love seeing it. Everybody come on in. I just got a few announcements I want to make tonight before we get into tonight's show. As you know, last week we had a little bit of an issue. One night I was traveling from Philadelphia. I couldn't get back in time. And then, of course, my bailiff has taken off, everybody. So we had to hire a new bailiff. We've got a new bailiff for tonight. We're going to stumble through the show as best as we can. Please have patience with us because the bailiff is new, but our bailiff is definitely not new to the business. I used to work with him over at Fox and Fox Soul for over 4 years. We do welcome Dan as our bailiff. If you could throw some hand claps in the hand clap emoji into the chat to welcome Dan, our new bailiff, to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And Dan, you're going to find out this group right here is quite feisty, so you got to keep up with them. You got to make sure you make it feel great for them. And they're always down in this chat, shaking a table or two, letting us know what they like and also what they don't like. Everybody come on in. Who else? Glammy Brown, come on in. Kim Hayes, come on in. Camille Lindsay, come on in. Camille, is it Camille? Cammy Lindsay, come on in. My John C. Boys, CJ Boys, come on in. Caramel 1977, come on in. He said, why are we on CP time? I was just explaining, Essie Stone, come on in. I was just explaining to all my A-listers, you got to have patience with us. Our bailiff, we had to, we're replacing a bailiff. We have a new bailiff. His name is Dan. I've worked with Dan before over at Fox and Fox Soul. Dan is incredible, but he's going to need some time to catch up. Dan has been literally just thrown all this into his lap. So please have some patience for us tonight as we kind of get through this show. But that is not going to stop Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, because you know what it is. Tonight, we have 4 cases, 1 human story, and 1 question hanging over every headline. When are celebrities going to stop getting in trouble with the law? Well, we don't know when that is, but hopefully not, because that's what makes this show go round and round. First up tonight, we have Tyra Banks is suing Netflix, saying an America's Next Top Model docuseries twisted her words and built a defamatory narrative. And now the courtroom has to decide whether the editing became character assassination. I don't think so, but we're going to hear what the lawyers have to say. Next up, James Harden. James Harden, welcome back to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. He was arrested on a misdemeanor gun charge after an unholstered handgun was allegedly found in a vehicle he owns, and one arrest can turn into a national sports headline. And we're watching that happen right now with James Harden. And we're going to go do something a little bit different on this show. We're going to put the human interest story in the middle of our 2 celebrity cases. And our human interest story is all over Instagram, and it's a sad story for sure. A family dog named Jameson was shot and killed by the LAPD officers after police responded to a call about a screaming woman doing a Knicks celebration. Yep, the New York Knicks, when they won the championship. And now the public is asking whether there was a protection or was it an overreaction. Then we're going to go travel over to Kentucky, where Dalton Eatherly, yep, you know who he is, known as Chud the Builder, is back in court as his legal problems, they deepen. And the question becomes whether rage-bait content finally became real-world criminal exposure. This is going to be interesting to unpack. And last but not least, you know the guy that all of you think is so attractive, Luigi Mangioni? Well, his defense team is reportedly looking at an extreme emotional disturbance strategy in the United Healthcare CEO murder case. And that is where the public anger meets psychiatric evaluations and murder law collide. Now, What I understand is that Attorney Carter has an update on that, so I can't wait for us to get to that. Now, remember, this is not a press conference. This is not spin, and this is definitely not mercy. Guess what? This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where I bring the mess, my attorneys bring the law, and you, the jury, decide who is guilty or not guilty for all of their nonsense. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and tonight, like I always say, this docket is filthy. Now, before we get into tonight's legal foolishness, hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. Somebody's mic is open. Please mute yourself and jump right into those comments. And if you're watching live, you can always share with me where you're watching from. I love to know it. And also give me your first gut. Who's guilty and who's not guilty tonight, you think? Drop it down in the chat. I would love to know. Now, I don't want a careful answer, and I don't want your lawyer answer. I want to know from what you've read, who's guilty or not guilty. Is LAPD guilty for shooting that dog for no reason just because it was a bark? Let me know. Drop down in the chat. Joy Burnett, welcome. Cassandra Cole, welcome. Easter C, welcome. Everybody, come on in. As I was sharing, we have a new bailiff, so please have patience with us as we work through the process. And of course, I'm not in this courtroom alone. Joining me tonight are three legal minds who know how to cut through celebrity spin, social media nonsense, and criminal exposures. Attorney Carter, Attorney Turner, Attorney Weiss, welcome back to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
Glad to be back.
Thanks for having us, Your Honor.
Absolutely. All right, we got three real attorneys in the building tonight, and I need them to be sharp about this docket because this docket is interesting. All right, with all that being said, the last thing that I want you to do, trying to build that Celebrity Court of Public Opinion IG page, please go over to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, hit that follow button. Also share the IG page with other people, have them join us. This is where the jury keeps talking after the show ends. And this is where we post updates, case clips, and the legal mess in real time. So go follow it, tag it, and don't forget to share it because the court may adjourn here, but public opinion never clocks out. Okay? All right. You know, I got to give you the quick legal note. Allegations are not convictions, and everyone discussed tonight is presumed innocent in a court of law. But in this courtroom, we don't care. We're here to examine behavior, optics, exposure, and whether the public has already made up its mind. And that's why it's called Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. All right, tonight's first course, let's start with Tyra Banks. All right, now let's listen to this. Tyra is suing Netflix over reality check Inside America's Next Top Model. Now, she's claiming the producers took hours of footage, interview footage, and used only a short portion to create what she says is a false and defamatory narrative. I can't wait for us to unpack this because isn't that what she did? Her all 20 seasons of her show? Well, guess what? Her lawyer says the documentary made it look like she allowed a contestant's alleged sexual assault to be exploited for ratings and then appeared dismissive or unaccountable. She says key context was cut out, including parts where she addressed the show's controversies with more nuance. Now, this is not just, I don't like the edit. This is, you made me look like a morally bad person and monstrous. That's what she's claiming. Okay, Attorney Carter, let's go to you. Break this down for me now. What is she, how can she even make some of these claims considering, isn't that what her show did?
Yeah, but you started it is not a good legal defense for Netflix. And so what she is saying is simply this, all right, is that, look, Netflix, it'd be one thing. I know you got to edit some stuff out. We had 800 hours of video here. You got to cut that down. But you intentionally splice some stuff to make me look like a monster. So the situation in particular is one of her models, Shandi, got drunk one night, got in bed and with some guy. They, of course, filmed it, wanted to show it. And the next day she said, hey, I was too drunk. That was sexual assault. And it was a big, big thing. And so they asked her about it in the documentary. Said, hey, you remember Shandi? And they showed Tyra sort of looking at the ceiling like, as if she's trying to fake it. And she says, no, I answered specifically at the time exactly what happened. They didn't show my remarks. They just sort of spliced that in there and making me look like a monster. And therefore, y'all owe me all of Netflix.
All right, Bailiff, are you seeing our private chat? Bailiff, be sure to follow the private chat. Be sure to follow the private chat. Okay, now let's go to our almost reality star Shatan Turner. If y'all don't know, Shatan almost was on the first season of Celebrity Court. She tried out for, I mean, not Celebrity Court, of Donald Trump's Celebrity,
The Apprentice.
not Celebrity Apprentice, The Apprentice. And she almost made it to the last round. So let's go to you, Attorney Turner. Now, you know, in order to be on these shows, you have to sign over a waiver, right? And the waiver allows them to do the editing as they wish. How hard is it to sue over editing? And where's the line between protected editorial choice and defamatory manipulation?
It's a moving target. So these cases are becoming more and more popular. We had one with the greatest race person who had autism on the spectrum, and he and his wife said that they edited that and it made him look mean. Now, he had a history of actually being mean to his wife, but that particular editing he thought didn't put him in the best light. In this case, I think that Tyra is in a bit of a pickle because the allegations that have come out as a result of the documentary are far more damaging than I believe the documentary was itself, because now that the girl's being interviewed and she's talking about she was the R word on film, and for ratings, they didn't intervene. The producers have indicated that they viewed the show as a documentary, and so they just kept running it. And despite whatever was happening off camera, they didn't intervene. So that's the damaging part. It's not the editing for Netflix. So I think that's where Tyra's going to be in a bind, because any type of defamation is a function of the information being false. So it can be an actual lie, or in this case, they're saying it was edited in a way to make her look bad. But I think these are just bad facts. And if I were Tyra, I would just fade into this dark night and hope the morning comes.
Right, Jason, let's go to you really quickly, because do you think maybe because Tyra saw such a huge backlash as it relates to this documentary, that this is just her way, right, playing off the suing and going to the court to try to clean up her image, like trying to explain why she came across as so bad? Do you think that could be a possibility here?
Oh, I definitely think that is. I think this lawsuit is being used to try to rebuild her public image, to get a better image in the press. I mean, that's basically all it is. So if she takes legal action to say, I didn't know about this, they edited it, they da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, people are going to read that, and they're probably going to forget about some of the other things. So I think this is not really a money-driven, this is more of an image-driven.
So more of a PR stand. So if we were to go back to the footage and the raw footage, Attorney Carter, and they were traction and the lawsuit did move forward, if the raw footage shows that she gave more context that was cut out, would that help her in any way?
It might, but she still has a few problems. She has to prove not only that they misrepresented her, but that they did it on purpose, right? And not just like they, didn't, they cut the film on purpose, but they were trying to screw her over. So usually you need some emails and stuff like that. And then she has to prove, by the way, that it damaged her career, right? That it somehow hurt her, and she might have a problem there, because I think the real damage to her career is she lost that ice cream weight, and now the women mad at her like they mad at Lizzo. But anyway.
But let me ask you this. Actually, she hasn't lost it. She gained a little bit of that back. Let me ask you this, though. In the show itself, the reason why it had so much drama was because it edited the models in a dirty way, if you ask me. So if she's arguing that the documentary edited her in a dirty way as it surrounded the editing of the show, if she gets any leverage, can't they sue her for the same thing that she's suing Netflix for? Anybody?
It's not like that. So the thing that people don't realize about lawsuits is that they're decided on, the evaluation as if it's on all fours. And so that just means that the court is limited by the facts before it in its rulings. So they cannot just come back and say, oh, well, Tyra was successful in this lawsuit, and so therefore I have a claim. They need to file a separate claim by themselves, making similar allegations. And if Tyra's is a reported case, it could be precedential, but these are very fact specific, and I'm not clear that it'll be as easy as anybody might think.
Right. So, okay, they have to create a similar case to Tyra's, then they can, right? My question was, though, if Tyra does a good job of winning against Netflix, let's just make this up, because she said that they edited her bad, and the people who felt like that they were edited bad, who were contestants, could they bring a similar lawsuit? Are you saying it's still not possible?
No, I mean,
the problem they're going to have. Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say anybody can sue for anything, right? There's not stopping. Somebody could sue you, Your Honor, because you're touching your chin during that. I mean, what are they going to get out of it? But the truth of the matter is, you can't stop people from suing. But yes, they can look backwards for precedent. They could say, well, Tara won because she alleged this. Here's exactly what she did, and they can use that again as precedent.
Okay.
The only problem they're going to have is they're time barred. These things happen. America's Top Model was on when I was 7. This was years and years ago. You can't bring back this stuff, all right? And so he's not going to, unless it happened within the last 2 or 3 years. And so she's claiming, look, this documentary just came out last week. That's why she brought her suit early. If you bring your suit long time, unless you're suing Diddy, you really don't have a case.
Okay, gotcha. All right, Editor, come on in here. Melina, welcome to Celebrity Court. Chaos God, I'm glad to see you. 1989. Who else did I miss? Dominic Michelle Porter, glad you made it. Essie Stone, I saw you earlier. Come on in. Tracy Odom, I didn't forget about you. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Everybody come on in. Let's see who else. All right, so Bailiff, someone is saying that they don't see our super chats. They're not seeing their super chat. We'll check into that. Like I said, everybody that's watching us tonight, please have patience with us. We have a new bailiff. We're trying to figure everything out. Some people are texting me personally saying their super chat isn't showing up. We're going to try to get to it, but until we do, from a defamation fight over what the audience saw to an arrest where the facts may be simple, but the headline is loud. Yep, we're talking about James Harden. James Harden, welcome to Celebrity Court. Now, reports say Harden was arrested in Houston on a misdemeanor unlawful carrying of a weapon charge after an unholstered handgun was allegedly observed in a vehicle he owns. Now, he was reportedly booked, released on bond, and given a court date. Now, this may be a misdemeanor, but when your name is James Harden, nothing is small. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Carter, because I'm just trying to figure out how did this go from an unholstered gun to now headlines to being booked. Where was he? Give us the details and how did this happen then?
So it's 3:40 in the morning, and James Harden is doing James Harden stuff. He's in a caravan full of cars. He got 4 people in his car, but there's 3 or 4 other cars. They're all going somewhere. Now, by the way, you're supposed to be going home at 4 o'clock in the morning, but they're going somewhere together, and one of the cars gets pulled over, not his car. James decides to pull over too, which I think is a cool thing to do. All right, you know how cops be. And so he's out there watching. They say, well, let me come over and see what the heck this dude's doing. They come over to James' car, and James Harden has got a handgun in the cup holder. And they say, look, by the way, it's Texas. You can have a gun in the cup holder, but you got to have a holster on it. And he's got the naked gun out here. And I'm sure some of the people in the car were naked too, but that's beside the point. And so you can't have naked women and a naked gun in the car. And so they pull him out and they arrest him for having an unholstered gun, which is an offense. And by the way, just so we're understood, I had to look this up. It turns out that you kind of want to have the holster. It's like having draws. All right. If you don't have a holster in a gun, and then you say have an accident and the gun goes flying, it could go off. All right, and everybody could get shot or pregnant. And so the point is that we want to make sure that you have your gun in the holster. So, but by the way, the defense in Texas, by the way, is 100. They basically, you see that he let him out on $100 bail. James Harden had he had. Come on, he came from the strip club. All right, he got millions of dollars in his pocket, and I don't know how they even were able to break change for $10,000 bill. But the point is that he got out in an hour. And so now he has to go back on these misdemeanor charges of just not having panties on the gun.
Jason, this sounds a little bit of like making an example out of him. What are your thoughts on how aggressive the officer was in booking him and taking him in because the gun was not in the holster?
I think there's probably some facts surrounding this that we're not aware of. We probably don't know everything. We don't know what it is. I mean, look, a lot of times a police officer can pull you over for speeding and this and that, and they decide to just write you the ticket for, not having your turn signal on. So there could be things that are going on here. But look, I mean, they have to apply the law. Maybe Harden mouthed off. Maybe he said, do you know who I am? Maybe he did his typical thing, like, I don't care. Do what you got to do. There's definitely more to this, and good for James Harden's PR team for getting this, kind of just, hey, look, he didn't have panties on his gun, like Attorney Carter said. So, here's the $100 bill that he had from the strip club. Let him go home. This is not a big deal. He won't get any time. He's going to be fine in the NBA. It's crappy that he has to go through this, but like Sean said, 4 a.m. you should be going home and don't pull a Harden.
I just don't. I don't buy that. I really don't. These are professional athletes. These are very wealthy men. They hang out on their off season. They play 153 games or some crazy number of games like that. So in their off time, they have fun. They're allowed to have fun. I just don't believe that it was necessary to take him in. I just don't. So let's go to you, Attorney Turner, because like $100 bail, you spent more money and resources of taxpayers booking him, taking him downtown, booking him through central booking with all that time and putting $100 bail. That's like a quarter to him. So what are the realistic outcomes, Attorney Turner? Dismissal, plea, fine, diversion? What are they going to do? Like, what's the point?
Well, I mean, I think the most interesting part about this case is what Attorney Carter said, which is if you have a Harden and a gun without panties on, someone's getting pregnant. But as it relates to this case, I think it's likely he's just going to get a fine. He'll plead it down. This seems to be a waste of taxpayers' money. I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's so many other serious weapon issues going on out here. This kind of misdemeanor only to me feels like it was a pat on whoever that officer's back was that he got to take James Harden in. That's what it looks like. And that happens. Like police officers are like, oh, this is my come up. Everybody at the station is going to be talking about the fact that I Harden. They're going to pay for his lunch. He might get a promotion from, his superiors because this is a cool thing to do. You got James Harden. Oh, yeah. I feel like that is absolutely ridiculous. Because regular people get booked and it's not that big of a deal and they don't, you know what I'm saying? But to book James Harden is a big deal for that officer and for that particular station. I don't like it. I honestly don't like it. I think that. So
if it were someone else, not James Harden, book him. But if it's James Harden, let him go.
No, not at all. I'm saying James Harden wasn't pulled over, right? James Harden's friend was pulled over. He was the one that was doing something illegal. Now, how you got to James Harden's car? Maybe James Harden got out of the car and was trying to make sure his friend was taken care of, and he was talking back. And the officer went over to his car and saw the gun was not holstered or whatever in its holster or whatever, in its panties or whatever. You know who James Harden is. You know the economy that James Harden brings to that community. You know good and well what's going on. You know who he is. You could have easily said, Mr. Harden, put your gun up and get back in the car. If you don't, I'll take you downtown. I'm going to go back and finish handling this deal. It could easily be handled like that. It doesn't have to be, oh, his gun is in the cup holder. Oh, that's just so illegal. Let's go arrest him. That's just my opinion. That's my public opinion. I'm allowed to have it. And because we've seen worse get off. We've seen worse get off. So,
and let's be clear.
SL Warrior said it best. Where's the body cam? Let's see it. Let's see what happened.
No, and here's the thing is, you're absolutely right, Your Honor. The officer did not have to arrest him. You could have given him a citation, etc. My question for James Harden, if you any of y'all know him out there, where you going, bruh, where you need a gun? See, I'm not a millionaire. I'm a thousandaire, and I don't go nowhere I need a gun. You're a millionaire. Why are you running around like Bonnie and Clyde? If you go to nice places, you don't need a gun. I promise. Go to the Ritz.
He had a little situation at a party too. He likes a little bit of rough places. That's what I think. And I think the lesson for the A-listers though is this. Sometimes you need to leave your friends to answer the questions from the police officer on their own. He should have kept going. He
really
done
really
in the
think
cup
so?
holder.
I don't think so. I've kind of flowed with those guys, especially if he thinks that he has some responsibility. In my personal opinion, I think he probably pulled over because he thought maybe he could help him because he's James Harden and he could probably talk to the cops and be like, "Yo, man, I'm James Harden." Because that's how it happens. It works. Sometimes it works.
Stop, leave my friend alone.
He's like, hey, look, I'm James Harden, and we got all these women in the back of this car, and they ain't gonna, stay this way forever.
It could have been the women that got pulled on. He was like, hold on.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
All right, let's go to the chat because it's always good to see what our jury members are thinking. So SL Warrior says doing way too much. SL Warrior, drop down in the chat. Who's doing way too much? Sandra McGee says, for sure, he was probably mouthing off. I think he was probably mouthing off in some type of way. Now, Caramel 1977 Cancer said, stars are always getting away with so much. I'm glad he booked him. Stars should follow the law like us normal folks. Believe it or not, the cop may not have known him for real. I don't know if that's true. Sandra McGee says, no, Al, he's not the first athlete to get arrested. Well, I know that, Sandra McGee. They book him because he's always choked in the playoffs. Oh, my God. Glammy Brown 1002 said, I agree, Al. He was just waiting on his friend. AJ Early says, let's stop acting like we don't know why he was arrested. I agree with you. Danielle Cameron said, I made it, y'all. SL Warrior said, riding dirty. Christine R said, you a black man with a gun in your car. Do not stop. Bail your friends out later. Right. And then Melina says, if he was a New York Knicks, he would have got off. That is definitely true right there. Okay, so I mean, I get it. I just feel like that was a little bit excessive. All right, from celebrity misdemeanor to tonight's human interest story in the middle of the show, because this is one that we definitely have to take a look at. And it was sad. It's about policing, it's about fear, and it's about a family dog who did not make it home. All right, now we're going to turn to our human interest story, and this one is heartbreaking. I got to let you know. A celebration of New York's Knicks championship turned tragic in Canoga Park when LAPD officers responded to a call about a screaming woman and a shot and killed family dog Jameson. Now, according to the family, this was not a domestic violence call. This was not someone being attacked. This was a woman celebrating a Knicks win. Now, police say officers responded because someone reported screams. When officers arrived at the condo, the door opened and the family dog came out. LAPD says the dog charged towards an officer. The family says Jameson was not aggressive, and now a dog is dead. Now, the interesting part is a family member was traumatized. A viral video shows the owner grieving over Jameson's body. And the public is asking one question: how did a welfare check turn into a fatal shooting? This is going to be interesting right here. All right, Sean Carter, break this story down for me, because this has been all over Instagram, and Instagram is definitely divided on this. And I think the thing that makes it even worse is how the owner of that pet just wailed over the dog on Instagram over the incident. And this is the one question I want you to answer for me, Attorney Carter. How did 20 officers show up over a incident? Can you give me some background on that?
Yes. So remember, at first, only these two officers are there. And, just so we're clear, the dog is doing what dogs do. He's barking. I had a Chihuahua, okay, who wasn't gonna hurt nobody, but behind that door, he was a bad mama, right? I mean, he was yelling, "I'm gonna tear your head off," and then as soon as I open the door, he go run away. This dog, unfortunately, did not. He ran toward the officer, and the officer says, "Oh my God, I feared for my ankles," and so I had to put the dog down. The reason we know about this is because the sister, who owned the dog, had that reaction and it got caught on film, because this happens 10,000 times a year. That's according to the Department of Justice. 10,000 times a year, the police get scared of dogs and shoot them. Now, mind you, I could not find a single case of an officer-related fatality where a dog ate him. You can't eat a whole officer, all right? No dog can, but somehow police officers shoot 10,000 dogs a year. Now, the mailman doesn't shoot anybody, right? The DoorDash people haven't shot anybody. But the police get to shoot their dog, and they get to shoot it under a legal standard that says if at any point the officer felt like they might somehow be in danger, even if it's not fatal, even if it's not serious, if they were going to get a bite, a little boo-boo, they can get a bite on the ankle, then they can shoot your dog, because technically your dog is just property. It'd be just like moving your furniture out of the way. And so the police have a standard now that says, hey, if he's barking too loud, if you feel like he might bite you, then go ahead and shoot him. Now, please understand, if you're not a police officer, you can't do that. I got plenty of my neighbors' dogs. As soon as I come to their house, I want to shoot them. You can't shoot them. All right. The only police get to do this because they're tough, and we give them money to get into danger, but they don't want any danger. No smoke for the police.
Okay, Attorney Turner, are there any legal options for the family here? An internal affairs complaint, a civil complaint, a property damage claim, an emotional distress claim, a policy reform demand? Is there any remedy for the family in this case?
This case is not over. So we're going to hear more about it, because the family is going to explore all of their potential options. And what you're talking about is two separate things. Under what theory can they sue? And then what can they ask for if they win? What I imagine that they're going to do is that they're going to sue, they're going to go to mediation, and then they're going to have some creative options for resolving it. One of them might be, reform, training officers and how to deal with the unexpected, all of those sorts of things. They're in it, and the exhibit A for them is the wailing person over the dog. And when they sue for damages, they'll also seek recovery for intentional infliction of emotional distress. And the reason I say intentional is it was a small dog, as Attorney Carter indicated. And so they're going to try to get into the officer's state of mind when the dog came through. And I think that he's going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Attorney Weiss, what's the rule in the state of Florida with dogs or use of force cases involving animals?
So in the state of Florida, it's different. But in California, you can get damages for emotional distress from the death of a dog. Florida treats dogs as chattel or property. But in California, it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. It's a taking. You're not allowed to do that. And it's also you can sue for emotional infliction of intentional infliction of emotional harm. So the police department is going to have a suit against them, and this family is going to win. The only way that they're going to be able to try to combat this is the officer is going to have to say, without laughing and under oath, that he thought that his life was in jeopardy and he was in fear of his well-being. But we've all seen that dog. And even if that dog came at you at 1,000 miles an hour and was, salivating, and come on, that is not a vicious dog. That police officer and that department is going to have problems.
So, attorneys, what do you think this is? And A-listers, drop down in the chat. What do you think this is? Do you think maybe the dog scared him when he ran out?
Oh,
And
he's scared. He's scared.
His initial response, because from what I understand, I don't mean to stir the pot, but this was in a black neighborhood, in like, you know, it was a black neighborhood, and maybe when the dog ran out, he thought it was a person dressed in dog clothes.
I mean, anything's possible. It's also possible that he was just mad because, you know, the Knicks in 5, we didn't have enough chance to say how great that victory was. And all he heard was a woman screaming from behind closed doors. I mean, just the other week, we were talking about that judge who was knocking boots with the security person, and she was screaming loudly. So there's a variety of reasons why someone might be screaming loudly behind closed doors. So he put some narrative in his head about what was happening, and then the dog comes out and he gets all flustered. And I think that it's possible he was multitasking and not completely paying attention, but it's unclear why he would have had that reaction for that particular dog.
All right, let's keep
I know exactly why he had the reaction.
Why?
Because he's a punk, you know what, all right? He is scared. He's scared. All right, he's scared of everything. He had his gun. Please understand, he knew there was a dog back there because he had said they closed the door, please put the dog away. He has his gun out. He's not holding his phone. He's not playing Angry Birds. He is ready to go to war because he's damn sure if he ain't going to get bit by some dog, all right? And here's the thing that's amazing to me is that the other cops are fine with him, all right? They're like, hey, come on back. Because I don't know about you, but if I was riding with somebody who was so scared that they were scared of a doodle, any doodle, you can't ride with me. You can't be my back. You can't be my wingman because you kind of
other than that, Attorney Carter, it's just the number of cops that ended up crowding that landing.
Yeah, well, once you respond with shots fired, then all the cops leave the Krispy Kreme and they come on over. But it is an indication of this. The police the budget in every municipality is the largest single part of the budget. And obviously, there's not a lot going on. By the way, they're in the hood in LA on a Friday night, Saturday night. You think there might be some other stuff going on? You think there may be some other crimes that need to be stopped?
I see that, but no one's still explaining to me a screaming situation and then shots fired by a cop to kill a dog that solicits 20 cops on the thing. All right, we got to keep it moving, though. All right, from a family dog, body cam questions, and police accountability to an online personalities whose live stream chaos is now standing in front of a criminal court. Yep, it's that guy that we all know as Chud the Builder. Now, the IG reel shows him appearing in a Nashville courtroom. Now, reports identifies Chud the Builder as a controversial live streamer whose legal issues include misdemeanor charges tied to a Nashville restaurant incident and a separate attempted murder case connected to shooting outside of a Tennessee courthouse. Now, Chud the Builder has claimed self-defense, but later reports say new footage allegedly complicated that claim and his bond was revoked. Now, this is where online behavior meets offline consequences, because when your whole brand is provocation, confrontation, and filming chaos, the court is going to ask whether this was self-defense or a crisis you helped create. All right, I got to throw to you, Attorney Carter. You got to break this down for me. Chud the Builder has been all the rage over there in Nashville, Tennessee, close to Kentucky. Tell us what's going on and how did he end up here?
Yeah, yes. So Chud, as some of you know, and I didn't know this until, unfortunately, I'm mad at you that you made me learn this, but Chud is some idiot who likes to go around and rage bait. And particularly what he likes to do is walk up to black people, say insulting stuff to us, and then we get mad, say that we're chimping out. And he likes to live stream these things. And he's got a bunch of racist followers who love to follow him. By the way, but they're so bad, they don't even let them on YouTube. They got to go on, some weird sites. But the point is that he got built this following of aggravating black people. So a couple of nights before, he's in a steakhouse. He gets a big meal, starts a fight with the black staff there, and starts calling names, live streams the thing. They throw him out. He leaves the restaurant and they arrest him because he didn't pay. And then you got $340 worth of food, you didn't pay for it. They book him on misdemeanor charges. They let him out on $5,000 bail. 3 days later, he's at court on a debt issue because he ain't got no job. And he comes out of the courthouse and he starts messing with this black guy. And then he says that the black guy starts beating him up, and so he pulls out his gun and shoots in self-defense. And that's the story he gives. They put him in bail. They give him $1 million bail. But guess what? His followers start raising $1 million. They get to 300,000. And they go back for a bail hearing just last week. And here's the problem Chad has, is that Chad can't get $1 million bail anymore because the original arrest for the misdemeanor, part of his bond condition was he not commit any more crimes. And so when you commit additional crimes, guess what? You get your bail revoked. And so he said, no. I don't care if you raise $10 million, you're not getting out. You stay until trial on attempted murder charges. We got video from the courthouse of you actually shooting the guy before he ever struck you. And you got all these tweets out there. Because he been looking for this. One of the things he tweeted was a season finale. One of these chimps is going to end up dead. And so he had been planning this type of thing. And so Chud, I hope Chud is a popular prison name because that's where he's going to be.
Well, we got to give a shout out to Caramel 1977 Cancer. She brought this particular story to the court, to Celebrity Court, because she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, where Chud the Builder lives. And she says he is from Clarksville, Tennessee, and most of his offenses occurred here, to included the shooting. He shot that gentleman in Clarksville. Nashville is just a piece of the matter. All right, so if I'm understanding this correctly, how in the world, given his rage baiting, given his tweets, is he going to be able to use a self-defense case? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
He is not going to be able to use a self-defense case because the what you need to show in self-defense is that you used as much force as you thought was going to be used against you. So I don't see how the other side was using force against him. I don't see how he was scared. He was bringing people. He was provoking people. He was basically saying, come and get me. Let's do this. So he's not getting out on bail. He's going to serve jail time. And you know what? Like Attorney Carter said, he is going to be a very, very well-known chud all throughout the prison system.
Danielle Cameron says, I hope Chud becomes some big back's girlfriend in prison for his shenanigans. He better get his pussy cat ready.
Oh, God.
Is it wrong? I hope this prison husband is black. All right, let's go to you. You guys are harsh. Let's go to you, Attorney Turner. What does the court look at when deciding whether someone is a danger to the community or likely to keep escalating this type of behavior when it comes to deciding their bond and stuff?
They look at the totality of the circumstances. They look at what the person's charged with. They look at their behavior. They look at whether they have remorse. A lot of it's very similar to what they evaluate when someone's attempting to come out on parole. But the real question is, are they a flight risk, and who would help them? So if the court concludes that, this person has done this dangerous thing and they're a flight risk because of X, Y, and Z, then chances are they're going to remain in jail. I think Chud might have the luxury of being like the only Chud in the penal system in these United States. I haven't done the research on that, but I think that it's probably true. What kind of name is Chud? Is it a family name?
I have no idea. Maybe we can ask.
He's definitely going to be in the penile system. That's all I can tell you. There's no doubt about that. But Your Honor, just to clarify, he was granted bond originally, but it's kind of like your parents would say to you when you were a kid, look, I'm going to give you this one, but next time, and that's what the judge said. And he committed a next time, and now the judge said, yep, bond is off. So bond is not even an option for him anymore because he already went ahead, and when he was on borrowed time and good behavior, he screwed up. The judge says, nope, now you're going back behind bars, and that's where you're going to stay until you're tried.
All right, Caramel 1977 Cancer says, don't forget about the black woman he was paying to peg him. There's a whole video. Chud and Faison Love are now buddies in jail. You know what? Y'all are messy. Y'all are messy. All right, let's keep it moving from internet chaos to the biggest legal question of the night. Can emotional disturbance defense soften a murder case that has shocked the country? Yep. Luigi Mangioni, welcome back to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Reports say Mangione's defense team signaled plans to use an extreme emotional disturbance defense in the state murder case over the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Now, let's be clear. This is not the same as saying I didn't do it. This is a mental state argument. Now, the defense is essentially trying to say that if a jury believes he acted under extreme emotional disturbance, it could reduce his legal culpability for murder to a lesser homicide offense. But prosecutors are expecting to argue planning. They are expected to argue intent. Now, they also are expected to argue that this was not a loss of control. This was a calculated killing. And the public reaction is complicated because this case lives at the intersection of violence, healthcare rage, corporate power, and vigilant fantasy. This is a dangerous legal territory. Now, Attorney Carter, you told us in the chambers that there's been a change in mind for the defense. Can you please talk to us about this case and what change has occurred?
Right, exactly. So we know this has been going on forever. September of last year, the defense filed a bunch of basically papers that said we're gonna argue self-defense, we're gonna argue everything, we possibly can, and they sort of had it all in there. The trial is coming up now in 3 months, and so the prosecution came in last week and said, "Hey, you still planning on doing this extreme emotional, defense?" And at that point, his lawyer said, "Nah, let's throw that out." And the reason that they had to throw that out was not that they didn't think it wouldn't work, but rather because he's also, after this, going to be facing a federal trial. And the feds don't allow for EED, extreme emotional disturbance. The feds say, "I don't care how mad you are, all right, we still going to put you in prison." And so if he were to claim in state court that he had extreme emotional disturbance, he'd have to admit that he did the shooting. And right now, he's still going to say, "Hey, it was some other white guy, some ugly white guy. I'm too good looking. Why would I throw away my life? I got all these women out here that can't wait to pay for me. I wouldn't do this. There's some ugly dude who did this." But you can't say that if you claim EED, because you're saying I did it, but he really deserved to kill him, and I had a good reason to be mad. And so he was in a catch-22. But finally, his lawyers, they said, "Hey, we got to drop this, and we got to go with you're too cute." And so I think that's what they're going with.
So, I mean, I know we're chuckling about this, but Attorney Turner, this has played a huge role in how the public perceives him, including we have our own Christine R6104 says, "Free Luigi's fine ass." That has been a campaign. That's been a campaign that's been going on forever, which is really upsetting me because he literally stood outside of a hotel room waiting for this man to come out, took a gun, and took a grown man's life. Why would we ever have, any type of sympathy for this murderer? Like, this is a cold-blooded murderer. What is going on here? And is this a true defense?
Well, like you said at the beginning of the show, people are innocent until they're proven guilty. So this is why we have trials. Even when it seems to be a slam dunk, everybody's entitled to put on a zealous defense. As Attorney Carter indicated, this is complicated because he's got a state law case and he's got a federal law case. So what his lawyers are challenged with doing is navigating the already choppy waters of the litigation system in two different forums, right? And so what Attorney Carter was describing was a concept called, admission against interest. And so if he pled in the state court that he did it and then relied upon a defense that might be successful in state court and then tanked his federal case because it's not a defense that's allowable in federal court, then he's in a pickle. I'm not really sure what Christine R. is talking about. This is a profound tragedy, but we know, God bless you, love you, Christine, but she also is quite fascinated with our Jason Weiss. And even though Jason Weiss is quite fetching. I do think that we can't necessarily take her statements and conclude that everybody in America feels that way. But
Well,
he's been garnering some things.
there's a huge number of people that feel that way. They've raised tons of money for this man. But this is my question. All right, and excuse me for my ignorance, because I didn't study law. I'm just a judge of public opinion. Why is it that when we see black men, black boys that kill someone, their trial, they get tried? Do they even get a trial? Sometimes is what I think. They go straight to jail. They get life. Why is it the process for some people so fast, and for other people like him, it's not so fast? And now he's become this national spectacle that his case is taking forever to bring resolution to it. Can someone just help me understand why the law is so different with some people than others? Like, give me a legal something to like hang my hat on, because it disturbs me that if this was a young black man, something tells me this case wouldn't have taken this long. It wouldn't be this much deliberation. Somebody explain to me why this case is taking so long, and why in his case is he getting so many liberties that it seems like others that don't look like him wouldn't.
Well, he's in prison. He's in prison, so we can't make too many assumptions about his liberties. But if a broke black kid did this, then that broke black kid absolutely wouldn't be afforded all of the flexibility, I guess, that has been happening with this guy. But he's got a lot of money. The celebrity factor matters, and we're all old enough to remember the OJ trial. He who has the coin gets the benefit of true justice.
And look how long the Diddy trial took. That went on for months and months and months. And
he's not Diddy. He's not Diddy. Cut it out. He's not Diddy. He's not famous like Diddy. He became famous because he happens to be attractive. Diddy has years of being in the public eye and being a part, having a campaign, a public relations campaign that people can have like maybe not, maybe so. This kid was a young kid, fresh out of college, stood outside of a hotel with a backpack on and a hoodie and shot a grown man walking out of a hotel. I'm not buying it.
The tragedy here is because, Brian, who got executed or assassinated outside the hotel, was just doing his job. His job was as a health insurance executive. And this case is as much of a function about what people perceive to be a broken health insurance system as it is about anything else. Luigi's good looks just kind of gives it an X factor. But the reason people are supporting him is that they are protesting against the system.
Okay. If you say so. You might be glad the show's getting ready to go off, because I'm about to let all of you have it. I'm not liking it.
No, in Your Honor, I agree with you 100% that public has a different standard for this young white boy. But understand the law in and of itself. I got to get in the Justice Department. They're charging him. By the way, the federal Justice Department is charging him with a penalty, with a crime that has a death penalty. They're seeking the death penalty. All right, so they're not giving him any breaks. But if he's cute, some women will give him a break, because that's kind of how that stuff works.
All right, really quickly, we only have 7 minutes left in the show, everybody. Our bailiff did pretty good, right? A-listers, he did pretty good. Not too bad. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're already subscribed. Don't forget to hit that share button. Turn on those notifications. And as always, continue to drop down in the chat. This is the part of the show that we go to you, the jury, the A-listers, to tell us who's guilty and who's not guilty in celebrity court tonight, all right? It's that time. So first up, we have Tyra Banks. Is Netflix guilty or not guilty of making Tyra Banks look bad? Drop down in the chat. Is Netflix guilty or not guilty of making Tyra Banks look bad? Drop down in the chat. Is Netflix guilty or not guilty for making Tyra Banks look bad in the documentary? Drop down in the chat. Everybody, please drop down in the chat. I need to know. Not guilty. So Netflix is not guilty for making Tyra Banks look guilty. Let's keep going. That's one not guilty. Is Netflix guilty or not guilty? Kim Hayes says not guilty. Editas says not guilty. All right, Netflix, you have been found not guilty. in the celebrity court of public opinion. Next up, James Harden. Is James Harden guilty or not guilty for breaking the law? Drop down in the chat. Is James Harden guilty or not guilty of breaking the law? Drop down in the chat. Is James Harden guilty or not? The SL Warrior says not guilty. Is James Harden guilty or not guilty for breaking the law, or could they have let him off? Is James Harden guilty or not guilty for breaking the law? Drop down in the chat, everybody. Be sure. All right, Caramel at 1977 says guilty. All right, Donna Michelle Porter says not guilty. That's 2 not guilties. And Chaos God says not guilty. James Harden, you got off lucky tonight. You've been found not guilty. Not guilty in the celebrity court of public opinion. Next up, we have LAPD. Are they guilty or not guilty of overreacting and killing that dog? Drop down in the chat. Is the LAPD guilty or not guilty for overreacting when killing that dog? Drop down in the chat. Is LAPD guilty? SL Warrior says guilty. Is LAPD? Kim Hayes says guilty. Is LAPD up? Big time guilty. SC Stone. LAPD, you have been found guilty. Guilty in celebrity court of public opinion. Next up is Chud the Builder. Guilty or not guilty of showing his ass and killing a black man. He's going to jail now. Is he guilty or not guilty? Is Chud the Builder guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Is Chud the Builder guilty or not guilty for killing that man? Christine R says guilty. Kim Hayes says guilty. All right. Is he guilty? All right. And Donna Michelle says guilty. Chud the Builder, report straight to jail. You've been found guilty here in celebrity court of public opinion. Next up, Luigi Mangioni. Is he guilty or not guilty? Is he guilty or not guilty? That's all I want to know. Is Luigi guilty or not guilty of killing that healthcare guy? He said, Caramel 1977 Cancer said he didn't kill him, Al. All right, well, he shot him, right? Okay, well, he's guilty of almost trying to kill him. All right, let's go to Luigi Mangioni. Is he guilty or not guilty? Sandra McGee says guilty. Kim Hayes says guilty. All right, and Chaos Guest says guilty. Luigi Mangioni, you may be attractive, but guess what? It does not matter because we found you guilty. Guilty here in celebrity court of public opinion. All right, really quickly, judges, remember, we only have 2 minutes here. I need you to keep your answers very short. Counselors, Attorney Turner, which of the cases tonight is the messiest legally?
I would say the Luigi Mangione one is super messy because it's one of the reasons, like if this wasn't someone's life, it would be just like catnip for lawyers, right? Because navigating 2 separate legal forums on the same set of facts is something that's difficult, and it gets a lot of lawyers excited.
All right, Attorney Carter, let's go to you. Which case tonight was the messiest morally?
That's going to have to be the shooting a dog. If you scared of a dog, I don't know what to tell you, but you can't be James Harden out there with naked guns. All right, and you shooting dogs. So no, we can't have you doing that.
All right, Attorney Weiss, which one you think is going to have the most comments and the most backlash?
Oh, Harden, for sure. I mean, just because he didn't have his gun in his panties, he got arrested. So that's going to be the backlash for sure.
You think that one's going to be the backlash? I think the dog one is going to have the biggest backlash. Because I think they could have settled that in a different way. But hey, the law may be technical, but public opinion is not. It's personal. So some of us may think that it's the dog that's going to have the biggest backlash, and others may think that it's the pantyless gun. In any case, tonight's lessons are simple. Editing can become evidence. A misdemeanor can become a national headline. A welfare check can become a use of force controversy. And online chaos can become criminal exposure. And guess what? Anger is not automatically a defense. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and this is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Turn on your notifications, and please do me a favor. Go over there to our Celebrity Court of Public Opinion IG page and hit that follow. If you're already following, hit that share button, or tag somebody. Have somebody also follow us on Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And court is now adjourned. Everyone have a good night and thank you.